Well, it's very interesting. You mentioned the religious consequences. Have you ever had Father Corrado Balducci on your program?
I have not, but I guess I ought to.
He's a Vatican prelate, still wears the cassock, in good standing, man in his mid-70s. I had a privilege of meeting him a couple of years ago. He's quite well known in the UFO community now, and I heard him speak at San Marino in Italy, and got to know him some, and he's called he was the head Vatican demonologist, and although he's officially retired, the fact that he says that obviously what he's saying is not counter to official Vatican policy, so he's not that out of line. And he says the Catholic Church, and he says we have to take this very seriously, this so-called encounter or abduction phenomenon. Why? Because there are so many thousands of reliable witnesses. Okay?
But when he said that, there was a big stir, not perhaps quite as big, but or with a serious consequence, as you had in your life when you wrote your book. I mean, the Vatican did ring a little bit when he made that statement.
But they didn't deny it.
No, they didn't deny it. They did not.
And I don't know how the church works politically. It may be maybe as hard to understand as Harvard. I don't know. But what his relationship to the Vatican when he made those statements was, I don't know. But I mean, there are things if you say them and put them forth, you lose your standing in the church, and he did not. And he's quite frank about the fact that if you have the church, when you have thousands of reliable witnesses, you got to take it seriously, and that's what he says, and he sticks to that.
Well, I guess we should talk a little bit again about Danny Sheehan.
Okay.
Because he called me the other day and represented to me that he had represented you during the trouble at Harvard. And he said, we never got to what was going to be the fun part for me, because I really wanted a trial. I wanted to bring witnesses forth. I wanted to really do it up, and they backed away from that. And he said, so, hey, Art, how about this idea? Suppose we were to get 3 federal judges, and he claims he knows 3 retired federal judges, and a prosecutor, and a defender, and virtually have a trial with presentation of evidence and witness testimony and the whole thing. Would that be a good idea? And I said, oh my God, of course it would be a good idea. I'd love to do it. And I guess he's run this by you. Right?
Oh yeah, we've been talking about it.
How did it hit you? What do you think?
Well, I think it depends how it's done. I think it could be a terrific idea. Danny Sheehan, as you may know, he had a great deal to do with opening up our awareness around nuclear power, the Silkwood case, Wounded Knee, the whole Iran-Contra thing. You name it, he's been on the forefront of just about every cutting-edge area of sort of social malpractice, in the sense that has been going on in this country, and been very effective. And he has a group of investigative assistants that work with him that are probably better at getting the truth about something than anyone I know.
Well, what would you imagine the question to be tried?
What's going on? I don't think there should. I personally don't think there should be a good guy and a bad guy in this. In other words, I don't think it should become some adversarial thing between sort of the prosecutors and the government cover-up. I don't think it's about that. I think it's not about anybody's doing anything bad. I think there are people that in the scientific community that ought to be questioned. There are people in government. There are people in the religious community, people in psychology, psychiatry. In other words, my idea of this would be to get the truth. In other words, to to the bottom of what is really, and of course the UFO community is crucial here, what is really going on? What do we know? How can we find out? It wouldn't be like there's some bad guys covering things up. See, I think that's the wrong approach. I think that I mean, I support full disclosure, and I support people that, you know, like Stephen Greer, that are trying to get as much knowledge through the government as possible. I think that's those are very good things to do. I just think the ring of trial tribunal should not convey that what he's trying to do is to put some person or some group on trial.
No.
But rather have an open forum that would create a way of bringing witnesses forward to get at the real facts of this whole UFO encounter.
Yes, but obviously,
domain.
For balance and for consideration of the federal judges, there would have to be one side which would be presenting the, I suppose, skeptical side, huh?
Sure, exactly. So you'd have people that would say, no, there's nothing going on here, and this is all the figment of people's imagination, and then you'd have the evidence presented, and it could be quite extraordinary.
What would you bring to such an event?
What would who bring?
You.
Me personally?
If you were asked to either testify personally as an expert or to bring witnesses, would you be able to do that?
Yeah, no, I would take not just the arguments or the case, so to speak, as I tend to make it in my books or in talking here, but I would try to select certain individuals that have had the encounters and have them present their experiences and why they took it so seriously and how it affected their lives, and so that the fact that we're dealing with plausible, by and large, healthy, normal people from all parts of the society, that this would get across, and so I would be the person, one of the people that would support the truth of the encounter, the facts of the encounters that are going on.
Just curious, and I suppose you'd be biased, but how would you imagine the result of such a confrontation? And it would be aired either on radio or television or somewhere. We don't know yet.
Sure.
How would you imagine it would end up?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I think it would it would be enlightening. I mean, I think it would. First of all, there is this idea, quite prevalent in the country, that the people are too skittish. It would be too dangerous for the people to know.
Too dangerous for the people. Well, we'll pick up on that when we get back. It's the top of the hour right now. Professor John Mack is here. I'm Art Bell. What do you think? Oh, Professor John Mack from Harvard is my guest. He'll be here for the remainder of this hour, so we've got to go right to work. Stay right where you are. Well, I didn't solicit that sound, but I'll take it as the return. So we're back, Canada, with Professor Mack. Professor Mack, we were talking about Americans and whether they would accept the concept of a radical change. Scientists all the time are saying, well, we thought we knew, but now we think. We're hearing that all the time. So it could change, and metaphysics and science could come together, and there could be a whole new reality. But, you know, it's a lot like the Brookings Institution study of what would happen if we were confronted suddenly with the presence of aliens, and what would happen from a societal point of view. It could be very, very disturbing, or at least that's what they concluded then. Has that changed?
It depends how you ask the questions. I mean, if you ask people, do they want to know? Do they wish to have facts covered up that are known by scientists or by government officials? People are much more likely to say, we want to know. If you say, would you be alarmed if aliens showed up here, there, and the other place? They might be alarmed. I mean, first of all, as far as I can tell, the aliens, with all and not every encounter is a pleasant one. People have very traumatic encounters sometimes for all kinds of reasons. However, everything I've ever seen, heard, whatever, people I've worked with, there is